Hey folks, Andrew here with Nashville Severe Weather. We got a severe thunderstorm warning now for Williamson County, and this is for basically west of 65, but does include a little bit of east of 65 there around the Ag Center. But basically west of I-65 includes Fairview on down to Boston, Thompson Station, Spring Hill, Franklin, and the Natchez Trace Bridge. So severe thunderstorm warning in effect now, and this one's going to be for a storm that was back in Hickman County a little bit ago. This is in effect until 10:30, so another 30 minutes. It's moving to the east at 30 miles per hour, 60 mile per hour wind gusts, and quarter-size hail possible. And have no doubt about the hail sizes in here. This storm has had some pretty broad rotation, actually, for the past little while we've been watching. And even up in the storm, it's been a little bit tighter. So the rotation, while it doesn't have a tornado warning with it, there's enough broad rotation with this storm that it's feeding the hail sizes, we think, and just kind of keeping this thing alive. So here's your hail view back around Duck River and eastern Hickman County, coming into northwestern Murray County. And again, I'm just having kind of deja vu. It seems like we've said this several times about these storms, and we're kind of calling out the same locations again. But here comes a hailer, and right now it's looking like it's dropping maybe quarters in Hickman County and moving into southwestern Williamson County. So this would be for areas like Boston and Leapers Fork and Franklin and Fairview. Now, I'm going to turn off the flash flood warnings. We've got flash flood warnings all over both counties. I mean, almost all of, well, I think all of Williamson County is under a flash flood warning. A good bit of Davidson County, including downtown and off to the north, is included in a flash flood warning. I'm going to turn those off just a second, and this rain coming in is not going to make that any better. It's going to make it worse. But I just want us to be able to see the severe thunderstorm warning here for a second. So I'm going to turn that off. And we're going to take a look at just the severe thunderstorm warning for a second. In fact, I'm going to turn the radar off too. So, and I'm going to turn off the lightning and just kind of clear it up so you can see where this is. All right, so here's your polygon there in the middle of Williamson County. So Franklin, Cool Springs, McKay's Mill, the Ag Center, 840 and 65, Thompson Station, Spring Hill, Leapers Fork, Boston, Smarten, Greenbrier, Fairview, all you folks are included in that severe thunderstorm warning. So this is included. This is for 60 mile per hour wind gusts and quarter size hail. And we can kind of see back to the west here. We can kind of see that broad rotation there in the part of that storm there that could be feeding this storm, giving it the storm food it needs to keep that hail going. And so that is what we're looking at. That is the latest severe thunderstorm warning that we have. So I'm going to turn the flash flood warnings back on here, and because I want us to be aware that this is really going to be a flooding issue, and I'm especially concerned. We're pretty concerned about the flooding threat in the streams and creeks and low-lying areas of western Davidson County, really all of both counties, really with this. So we're pretty concerned about that, and this new storm coming in and a series of storms now coming in is not gonna help. So this is gonna be a rough go of it in Williamson County for a while up to Davidson. So if you have some high water in the creeks and streams nearby, it's about to get worse. All right, and I just hate to say that, but it is. And we've just got some incredibly heavy downpours coming in. All right, let's go to the hail view. Let's check out the hail. And the strongest hail is going to be right there north of Duck River in eastern Hickman County. That'll be going into Williamson County here shortly. And the hail sizes aren't going up, it doesn't seem right now, but in almost every situation tonight, in almost every case, we've seen the hail grow in size either inside our counties or right before they come into our counties. So that's happened in almost every case tonight. So in fact, there's a few more oranges showing up there. So it's entirely possible, and I fully expect that possibly this will get a little bit stronger as it comes in. I don't have any reason to believe that other than that's what the others have done. But anyway, all right, let's take a look at velocities. Could be some real strong winds coming in the northwestern side of Murray County and moving on into southern Williamson County here in just a second. Again, here's that kind of broad rotation. Again, we're not under a tornado warning. This is not a tornado warning. This is a severe thunderstorm warning that's in effect until 10:30. So about another 25 minutes or so. But there's going to be some strong gusty winds in here underneath that broad rotation. All right. and that's moving to the northeast. This thing looks scary. All right, I mean, it just looks scary. It's got that hook on the back side of it. It's when storms rotate broadly, you're going to kind of get that hook, and the wind's going to kind of bring that precip around this side, and your inflow is going to be coming in here, and so it's going to kind of have that look to it. But we have no tornado warning in effect, but we do have a severe thunderstorm warning in effect for large hail, possibly over the size of quarters, and for 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts. All right, so taking a look at velocities again. In fact, I want to go over and take a look at TBNA. And again, I know it's awfully messy on the screen here. I know it's a little hard to kind of figure things out. So once again, I'm going to turn the flash flood warnings off. And yeah, it looks like we got a little bit of rotation there again. That's just going to help to keep the hail sizes up. It's going to serve to keep those hail sizes up as it comes into southwestern Williamson County. So it doesn't look like it's ready to give up yet. It looks like it's going to hang around for a little while and probably take a similar path as the others have that have come in, and that's going to be from southwest to northeast across both counties. Looks like another flash flood warning coming out, and that's going to be for Cheatham, Davidson, Dixon, and Robertson. So, you know, they're just kind of filling in the gaps here. We've got flash flood warnings all over the place, and it's really a serious situation. It just is. And so that's going to be for Cheatham, Davidson, Dixon, and Robertson, and there that is. I'm going to turn the radar off a second. There's your new polygon, new flash flood warning there for Davidson County, and it basically fills in the gaps there as you go up north. So the new flash flood warning is for Bakers, Lutons, Goodlettsville, Joelton, Fontenelle, Beeman Park, and those areas up there in the northern part of Davidson County. So that's a new flash flood warning up there. A lot of hills and hollows up here. This is right at the base of the Highland Rim. So the Highland Rim's up here in Joelton, and Bakers is right at the base of the Highland Rim. And you got a lot of hills and hollows there, and a lot of creeks that run beside the roads, as we've mentioned a couple of times. So like along Baker Road here, you got a creek that runs right beside Baker Road, and it can come over the road pretty easily. Same with Old Springfield Pike. Same with several of these roads. This is Licton Pike. It's the same way. You got Lower Walker's Creek that runs through there. So you just, you know, these are the kinds of situations where those creeks would have some trouble. Sometimes we see issues at the campground there, right beside Mansker Creek up in Goodlettsville. So again, this would be one of those situations where we got to watch out for issues there at that campground. So new flash flood warning up there. Just kind of give you guys a couple of ideas about some of the places that we could see issues within that new warning up there. So the reason we're on here is a flash flood warning severe thunderstorm warning down in central and southwestern Williamson County, and that's going to be for this kind of gnarly looking storm down here. Stretches back from kind of the core of it, stretches back from like 840 back around toward Duck River in Hickman County, and it kind of curves back around. So, I mean, it does look like it kind of has a hook on it, but that's kind of that rotation we were talking about. That in fact, the rotation, I'm telling you, it's a little concerning when you first look at it, and it's just, you know, this is north of the warm front, so the Weather Service is not convinced that there's anything going on there rotation-wise down at the ground level. So we're keeping an eye on that. They're keeping an eye on that. But right there around the Natchez Trace in Murray County, you know, that looks like a pretty convincing couplet there in the rotation. But nonetheless, if it's not a tornado and it's a severe thunderstorm, it's going to serve to keep those hail sizes up. But I'll tell you this: I would say if you are in southwestern Williamson County, I would say you want to go ahead and not be near your windows. You want to kind of go ahead and be near the center part of your house, and just kind of go ahead and do that. Just do that for us. And this is severe thunderstorm warning, but it could be an especially strong one as it comes through. And so if you would kind of go ahead, if you're in southwestern or western Williamson County, just be near your safe place, just to be safe for this one. And we don't have any specific reason to think that there's anything on the ground. But the velocities are a little bit stronger than we like to see, but it definitely will serve to keep the hail sizes up, any kind of rotation like that. All right. So again, the main issue here is, at least for now, the main issue is that we have some incredibly heavy rain coming through, and it's really going to make the flooding issues worse. So if you're in a flood-prone area, again, please be making plans to do whatever it is you need to do to keep yourself safe and to get to higher ground and not be near the flood-prone area. That would be great. All right, I'm going to mute, and I'll be right back in just a second. All right, back with you here. Let's go forward and look at your reflectivities here. Again, this is the rain rates. This is how hard it's raining. It's raining very hard all the way from downtown down into Franklin. This is a view from the Midtown camera, looking back down to the southwest, and looking down and really south of Fairview too. We don't have a camera down there right now, but the very heavy rain falling south of Fairview and west of Leapers Fork. So you can see that in downtown there. It's just hazy. I mean, it's really coming down hard. All right, so let's talk about this again. Severe thunderstorm warning, if you're just joining us, that's in effect until 10:30. 10:30 p.m. and the severe thunderstorm is located 7 miles east of Centerville at that point, moving east at 30, 60 mile per hour wind gusts, and quarter-size hail are possible there. And let's see here. Weather Service says they're just re-emphasizing here that the rotation with the supercell in far northwest Murray County appears to be inaccurate due to radar side lobing. Okay, that's a radar artifact that we can find on radar sometimes. The storm does have mid-level rotation. They're watching it closely, but it looks like it has some what we call side lobe contamination. Won't get into all that. It's pretty detailed, but that could explain why some of the velocity signatures are showing up the way they are. But yes, some mid-level rotation with it could keep the hail sizes up, and that would explain that. All right, so severe thunderstorm warning still remains in effect, and that's around here till 10:30. And so about another, 15, 20 minutes on this one, and then we'll see where it goes from there. Now, we'll say hail sizes have come down. It looks like radar's pinging hail in the strongest part of the storm here, which is probably going to be up here in the reds. All right, it's probably up here in the reds, maybe the south part of the reds here, the bottom part here. So far southwestern Williamson County, Oscar Green Road, Shoals Branch Road, Greens Chapel Road, areas down there near the Greenbrier community. That could be where the hail's falling. And radar thinks that the hail could be around 3/4 of an inch. So that's going to be in, in the nickel size range, something like that. So not quite severe if that's actually what's falling. It takes quarters or larger to be severe. We've definitely seen that today. In fact, we've seen quite a bit larger than that today. But it looks like hail sizes have come down a little bit from where they were earlier. Let's back up in time, and you can kind of see that. I mean, hail was pretty large back there over Centerville and in eastern Hickman County, and then it's coming down just a little bit. So will it re-strengthen? We'll have to see, and we'll just watch it as it comes in. But for now, the threat, could also be some 60 mile per hour wind gusts in here, and it looks like, I'll go over and look at TBNA. And it could be some gusty winds on the front end of the south part of the storm coming into southwestern Williamson County. So it could be around Boston and around Smarten, Greenbrier, Garrison Springs. You folks down there could be getting some of these 55, 60 mile per hour wind gusts there on the south side. So this area up here is kind of going this way. Okay, there's broad rotation with it. And so down here on the south side, you could get some especially gusty winds coming around the back side of it. So again, this is broad rotation up in the mid levels, not low level rotation, and so that is the Weather Service feels pretty confident about that. But they're keeping an eye on it in case it develops lower. So that's what we're looking at. So right there on the bottom side of that storm, where those brighter greens are, right around Smarden here in a few minutes could be the places that get some of the stronger gusts. All right, so let's go back to the OHX radar, as we call it, the National Weather Service radar. And here is your reflectivity. And guys, I'm just going to reiterate this. You know, this is some really heavy rain coming through here. I mean, it's just like a car wash out there. So they're in downtown Nashville, off to the north, up toward Madison, stretching on up toward Goodlettsville and Rivergate, on down through Berry Hill and approaching B&A and Antioch, down through Brentwood, Bells Bend. I mean, you name it. There's heavy rain pretty much everywhere in Davidson County. And then in most places in Williamson, you know, you guys down here in the far southeastern side of Williamson County might escape this one, but looks like some more, you know, coming in behind it. But this one here looks to kind of come up and eventually stay kind of north of 840 a little bit. So we'll see how that evolves. Let's see. Weather Service is continuing the severe thunderstorm warning, and some reports of flash flooding coming in across from Dixon County, Dixon and Cheatham, actually. So this is going to be a long night, I think. This is going to be a long night. So again, down here, let me show you down here. Toward Greenbrier, could be some strong gusty winds down there around the Natchez Trace. So if you've been out the Natchez Trace and you've kind of driven near the Smarden community, that's kind of where the strongest winds could be. So we're looking pretty low in the storm. We're about 1,300, 1,400 feet here. And if I even go up a little bit, you can kind of see some of the stronger winds. So right down here on the southern end of the storm, right around the Natchez Trace Parkway, right where it goes into Murray County, that's where you could get some of those really strong gusts, those 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts. So, in fact, the radar reading right at 60 miles per hour at about 1,500 feet off the ground. So that's right at the Natchez Trace. Going to be coming into Williamson County here in just a little bit. So that's over Lick Creek Road, South Lick Creek Road, up toward Natchez Trace Road, and kind of those roads that kind of surround the Natchez Trace Parkway down there. So that's a lot of trees out there. It's a very wooded area, fairly rural area of Williamson County. Beautiful area, but that's where you could get, especially up in those treetops, up in the tops of the hills, you could really start to hear that strong wind up in the tops of those trees as that moves northeast. So Boston, you would presumably be next. Again, severe thunderstorm warning. It's not a tornado warning. Severe thunderstorm warning in southwestern Williamson County. And it looks like it's going to kind of come up the parkway and head up eventually kind of toward Boston, Beechwood Plantation, Burwood. Areas like that is where the strongest velocities would be in those winds. So let's see if the Weather Service radar is showing similar. And yeah, right down here, again, same place, right here at the parkway, and showing some 60-mile-per-hour winds, 58, 59, 60-mile-per-hour winds, headed for Smarden and up toward Boston, Garrison Springs, perhaps, Pinewood Road exits to be crossing 840 here in just a little bit. And then eventually up toward Beechwood Plantation, maybe as far north as Leapers Fork, down to Burwood. There at the with a Carter's Creek Pike and the gas station there right off the exit in Burwood. Could be down there as well. So here's your path of the strongest winds, kind of southwest to kind of a northeast. So probably the southern parts of Franklin as well. So we're pretty far in here. Let's back out a little bit and kind of get an idea of what else is going on. And I'm going to turn the flash flood warnings off for a second. Don't take that to mean that they're not important. They're very important, and it's going to be a problem here for this evening. But here's your severe thunderstorm warning. You can kind of see the polygon. I'll turn the radar off for a second. So those of you in Franklin, McKay's Mill, Cool Springs, Natchez Trace Bridge, Fairview, Leapers Fork, Boston, Smarden, Thompson Station, Ag Center, all you folks, the subdivisions all around Franklin, West Haven, Fieldstone Farms, all you folks. So y'all are all included in this, and it's moving off to the northeast. So I'll turn the radar back on here. So again, this thing looks kind of gnarly, all right. So it's kind of got the the hook look to it, but we're just watching stronger velocities really in the winds down here on the south side of Smarten, and kind of moving to the northeast. So could have some 60 mile per hour wind gusts in there. Weather Service is watching it. I know what you're thinking, and it looks it looks kind of gnarly, but we're kind of watching these blue pixels here for some straight line winds. They're watching to see if the rotation comes down lower, but for now we're keeping an eye on the straight line wind potential. And that's what they're saying is of the greatest threat here in this severe thunderstorm warning that's in effect till 10:30. So about another 10 minutes on it. We'll see what they do. The hail sizes have come down. No, they haven't either. They've gone up a little bit. So said that, and then they kind of went up. So hail sizes have come up just a tad, approaching 1 inch again. So we could have in the strongest area of the rain. All right, so this is kind of displaced a little bit. Okay, the way this product works, it's a little bit displaced. So what you kind of have to do is take your hail sizes and then match it up generally with the highest reflectivities. And that would be up here just northwest of Leapers Fork, kind of around Pewitt Road and Pinewood Road and old Highway 96 up there. Old Highway 96. And so you kind of find your highest reflectivities, and then you that's where your hail is likely falling, is right in there. All right, but it could be up in the 3/4 inch or maybe approaching an inch, probably 3/4 inch. It's not tremendously impressive, but it you could get some quarters out of that, some quarter size hail as it moves to the northeast. The radar actually has been fairly accurate in estimating the hail sizes. There were a couple of times I was questioning over there on the southeastern side of Williamson County a little bit earlier. It was spitting out 2¼ inch hail sizes, or 2½ inch hail sizes, I think it was. And I thought maybe it was a little on the high end, and then we were getting pictures of 2¼ inch hail, but no problem. So radar's done a pretty good job of estimating today. So right now it's reading at about 3/4 inch hail. That's about nickels, maybe just a little bit bigger than that, but not the quarter size hail that we would look for in a severe storm. So really the main threat we're looking at with this at the moment, of course, is smaller hail, but also these wind gusts coming through Smarten. So the little community of Smarten down there, which is right on the Natchez Trace, and Carter Lane runs off of there. And I'll turn the radar off, and you can kind of see again. It's a very hilly, kind of rural area of southwestern Williamson County with a lot of hills and valleys. And so if you're down in a valley, you may not feel the strong winds, but you might hear them up in the treetops, up on the hills behind your house or something. So it's really, really gusty out there at about 2,500 feet. And I'm going to go over to TBNA, and it actually shows the exact same thing. All right, so I'll tell you what this is. This is really an area of straight line winds here coming through. This is reading 62 miles per hour at about 1,300 feet. So right here in Smarten, it looks like that's where the straight line wind threat is going to be. And that's at Leapers Creek Road. That's at Natchez Trace Road. And this area right here is going to be your straight line wind threat. So that's going to be your straight line wind threat as it moves northeast. So Boston, out there on Leapers Creek Road, and let me get a couple more roads for you. Robinson Road there, and then up toward Beechwood Plantation, South Hall, Carter's Creek Pike. But that bright blue area there, that's going to be your straight line wind threat. And it's blowing at about 61 up there at about 1,300 feet. So that's a pretty decent straight line wind. We play the loop here, and we can kind of see how it evolved over time. And you can kind of see maybe even that area of straight line wind kind of developed in the last few scans. Kind of how it turned blue there. So that's a pretty strong gust of wind. It's showing up on both radars. So there's TVNA, and there's the Weather Service radar, and there it is right there. So it's in the exact same spot. It's co-located. That's what we like to call it. It's a technical term for it's in the same spot. And so that tells us it's a pretty good bet. And really, up and down, it's in the same spot over a couple thousand feet in altitude. So pretty sure bet you're getting some pretty strong gusty winds there approaching Boston. That's going to be crossing Leapers Creek Road here in just a little bit. Actually, it's crossing 840 very soon. So crossing 840 here very soon. 840 is about right in here. And that's going to be a strong gust of wind come over the interstate there and then go over into Boston, and it'll be inside the 840 loop at that point, and just and be a straight line wind issue. So the warning, the severe thunderstorm warning, expires at 10:30. So in about 5 minutes, we'll see if they decide to extend this out, or reissue it, or what they decide to do with it. But the warning's in effect for about another 5 minutes. That looks like a pretty gnarly little blob of some straight line winds there. And that's Natchez Trace Road. That's Leapers Creek Road going right into Boston there. So anyway, that's where that is. All right, let's go over to the Weather Service radar. We kind of see 840 a little better. This red line, that's 840. All right, so it's crossing the interstate now. So let's get out ahead of this a little bit. Strongest winds are going to be heading, David says over on Twitter, strongest winds heading for Franklin, Sullivan Farms, Ladd Park, Page High School, eventually McKay's Mill. Yes, all of those. So here's your area of especially strong straight line winds, and that's pushing directly towards Sullivan Farms, the Ag Center, Page High School's over here, McKay's Mill's up here. So this is generally aimed to the northeast, and exactly right, that's where it's headed. All right, so here's go back to reflectivity, and let's actually go look at hail for a minute. And yeah, hail kind of hovering right around just under 1 inch in diameter hail. And so definitely hail is a possibility there. But it doesn't look like we're approaching that 2 1/4 inch hail size that that we were seeing earlier today. That was pretty wild. All right, well, here we are on this Saturday night. More of you have joined in the past couple of minutes here on a Saturday night. Is it Saturday? I guess it is. Yep, Saturday. And so we are watching one severe thunderstorm warning that is in effect for Williamson County. You are looking at this warning here, and you're looking at the velocity mode of our radar, which shows you which direction and how fast the winds are blowing. So the blues and the greens are headed toward the radar, which is up here in Old Hickory, and the reds are going away. And so the greens and the blues are stronger. That's what we're looking at here is a localized area that just crossed Interstate 840 and is in Boston right now, and it's a pretty localized area about to cross Leapers Creek Road of some really gusty winds. So blowing up at about, and there's your new radar scan, it's diminished a little bit, but it's still there, blowing maybe 60, 65 miles per hour, just crossed Leapers Creek Road, and we'll be crossing Sweeney Hollow, and on up into Floyd Road here in just a little bit, over between Leapers Fork, down between there and Thompson Station, going right over Beechwood Plantation, actually. So that's kind of where the strongest wind gusts are now. I just feel like I need to mention the flash flood threat, so I'm going to turn the flash flood warnings back on. I know it muddies the waters here on the, so to speak, on the radar, but all these green boxes, all these green polygons, these are all flash flood warnings. And so the flooding threat tonight is really going to be probably one of the, I think safe to say one of the main stories. And that is going to be an issue. We're seeing a lot of pictures here on the on your reports of some water issues. Rosa Parks at the Nashville Farmers Market closed for flooding up there on Rosa Parks Boulevard. So this just isn't going to... doesn't look like it's going to let up anytime real soon. We still got more rain behind this. All right, so the flash flood warning's in effect for several more hours here, all the way up and down I-65 and east and west on I-40. And so a lot of rain is possible over the next couple of hours. All right, so our severe thunderstorm warning down here expires in 1 minute, and it just got reissued. There it is. So that is a new severe thunderstorm warning now. I've turned the flash flood warnings off. I'll turn the radar off. And this is going to be a new severe thunderstorm warning now for severe thunderstorm located 7 miles northwest of Thompson Station, or 9 miles southwest of Franklin, moving northeast at 55 miles per hour, 60 mile per hour wind gusts, and penny-sized hail are possible with this. So still keeping the possibility of 60 mile per hour winds as the storm moves through Franklin over the next few minutes and then moves up toward Brentwood. And it looks like it's going to, really right through downtown Franklin. And it looks like it's where it's going to be. Maybe, I was going to say just west, but really looks right through downtown Franklin and up through Cool Springs and then through the subdivisions on the east side, south and east side of Brentwood. Looks to me to be where the track is. So anyway, that's your polygon there. It includes B&A, includes Percy Priest Lake, Smyrna, down there in Rutherford County, Nolensville. It includes all of Nolensville. As you go down toward Triune there, you're out of the warning down in Triune. This is going to be mostly north of an 840, really definitely north of an 840 problem. And this is going to be for 60 mile per hour wind gusts and penny-sized hail. Still showing area gusty winds there. It has shrunk a little bit, but it might be vicious as it moves over your house, and it may not last long. Hopefully it doesn't. But right around Bailey Road, right around Beechwood Plantation, down to Bear Creek Road, and then up Carter's Creek Pike towards South Hall. It's kind of where that area of strong gusty winds looks like it's going to kind of hang out for a while and where it's going to head. So over to TB&A and kind of see, ignore the red there. Sometimes you get what's called attenuation, and that can or aliasing rather, I should say, different term. But anyway, you could get some of that, and that could make that might actually be supposed to be blue. But nonetheless, strong velocities here around Beechwood Plantation. They're around Bear Creek Road, headed toward South Hall. So TB&A sees it also. There it is. Pull my cursor up, and that's your strong area of gusty winds. So yeah, it looks. We've seen some comments. Seen some comments here. Yes, it looks gnarly. It looks gnarly, but its presentation on radar may not be as bad as it looks. If you're if you're thinking there's really strong rotation in there, really that has come down quite a bit, and we're just not seeing anything too concerning here. Things don't line up in the right places. Okay, so we look for things in the right place. We don't just look for reds and greens together. We look for the reds and greens to be together in the right places, and that is what we. That's what we look for, and right now we're not seeing the reds and greens in the right places for it to be a tornado issue. All right, so that's a long way of saying we're not too worried about the tornado thing. All right, the velocities seem to have come down just a hair. Not seeing the bright blues over here on TB&A. So it's down into the greens, which is good. So TB&A is reading, but if I go up in the altitude just a tad, I'm up at about 2,000 feet now, and I still see it. So at about 2,000 feet, I see it clear as day, and that's wind at about 67 miles per hour there around Bear Creek Road, and that is that's some pretty strong wind. If I go down a little bit, it kind of disappears if I go down on the altitude there. So let's go back over to the Weather Service radar and check that out. On the Weather Service radar too, it's kind of disappeared. It's not nearly as strong as it was. So our Weather Service radar is reading about 43 miles per hour, but if I go up in the storm, it's still, of course, it'll give a better reading on that here in just a second. We're still looking at a healthy 70 mile an hour wind up there around 3,300 feet. So I would not disrespect this storm at all. I would respect it as it comes in. Could have some really strong gusty winds here in this little area around Beechwood Plantation, headed for South Hall, headed for Franklin, and then up toward Cool Springs. And it could definitely be gusty. So right there in that red area, right there, that's where I would say the strongest winds are going to be. All right. So this new severe thunderstorm warning that came out is in effect until 11. So and the county calling me, making sure I know that there's a severe thunderstorm warning. So it's 10:34 right here by my clock, and we have a severe thunderstorm warning in effect until 11 for this storm here. And it is could be pretty gnarly in the straight line wind department. And yeah, wind's perking back up now. They relaxed a little bit on the Weather Service radar, perking up a little bit more here around Beechwood Plantation now. And let me go forward here, and it gets really noisy down here. Don't pay much attention to that. So the bright colors you see there, again, we look for reds and greens and blues, and we look for brighter colors for stronger winds, but they got to be in the right places, all right? They got to line up with things correctly. And just, you know, from what we know about radar, this is no good down here. This is bad data. All right, so there's nothing down here. So the radar has a hard time sampling that. So we look more where there's precipitation. The radar gets a good read on how fast things are going. And so the area of maybe strongest winds is up here around Boxley Valley Road, Blazer Road, Boxley View Lane, and there's Blazer Road again there, right before you get to West Haven. So it could be some 50-mile-per-hour winds there, 50, 55, 60, that just crossed over Old Hillsborough Road. So that's probably where the biggest straight line wind threat would be, is just a small area there just southwest of West Haven. All right. So you folks up in Brentwood getting some heavy rain. This is one of those rains, guys. This is man, this is going to get the creeks going. So it's just this is just one of those rains you got to be careful with. And I've said it before. And in fact, let me turn the flash flood warnings back on. I have those off too long, but and I know they kind of muddy up the map here, all these polygons. But just remember, there's a flash flooding risk. And if you're in a flood-prone area and you haven't seen flooding yet, you might see flooding when this rain comes through. It's just kind of piling on top of each other, and the accumulations are coming up. The rain rates are high, and the ground just can't handle it. It's completely full. And you know, sometimes what can help streams not get too high is maybe if there's some ponds nearby that water flows into, and then it kind of works to fill the pond up before it overflows, and then it dumps water into the creek, and so it can kind of hold back that water for a little while, for an hour or two. You know, everything's full. I mean, the ponds are full. Maybe the detention pond in your neighborhood might be full. It just everything's just waterlogged, and so all this water is just gonna run off. And so that's why all these flash flood warnings are in effect. It's for exactly that. It's just the water that falls is going to go straight downhill, wherever downhill is. And if it's through your backyard, if it's through down your driveway, if it's down a creek that becomes very, very large all of a sudden in your backyard, that's what it's going to do. It just can't seep into the ground. So that's why all the flash flood warnings are in effect for. So be very careful out there. Be very careful. Strong reflectivity is back here west of Fairview. Hill sizes may be coming up a little bit there. In a small area there about to enter Williamson County. It's not warned and not really evidence that it needs to be. The hail sizes aren't up high enough yet there, but decent downpour though, maybe some small hail. I tell you what, I'm going to get a camera here, and I'm going to, if I can point it in the right direction, I'm going to point it toward this storm. All right, this is in Nolensville looking back toward Franklin. And yeah, light show there. A lot of lightning with this. So that's looking right into the storm. Great view of it, actually. So good placement of it, looking directly into it. So very electrical storm, just like the others have been. And if you're just joining us, severe thunderstorm warning in effect until 11 p.m. for Williamson and Davidson. So that affects B&A, Antioch, Percy Priest Lake, down to Creve Hall, Oak Hill, Forest Hills, Brentwood, Nolensville, Cool Springs, Franklin, McKay's Mill, Sullivan Farms. Sullivan Farms about to get the part of the potentially gusty winds, but West Haven maybe getting some gusty winds there. All right, you're looking at a camera in Nolensville, looking off to the west. I'm checking your reports. So if you see anything severe, if you see any flooding, if you see any hail, if you see any wind damage, anything like that, let us know about it, and we will. We would love to know about that. We'll get that to the Weather Service. I think there's a new flash flood warning for. Okay, that's going to be Bedford, Cannon, Coffee, Rutherford, Warren, Williamson, and Wilson. That's a huge flash flood warning. And so, I mean, I can't even really, let me go back to the radar here. I really can't even keep up with the flash flood warnings. I think the point here is that if you were anywhere in Davidson and Williamson counties, you have a flash flood threat. But there's literally polygons layered on top of each other. So just understand that flash flooding is a huge concern out there tonight. It's one of the main stories. But back to the camera here in Nolensville, looking right back into the storm to the west. This is a storm that's right over downtown Franklin now, and you folks hear it. It's noisy. It's really noisy. So it's just. It's loud, and there's a lot of lightning with it and a lot of rain. And I'm checking hail sizes here. Hail sizes have really come down. And again, I apologize. I'm gonna turn off the flash flood warnings here, and just so we can see the severe thunderstorm warning. I think we understand there's a flash flood risk. Please take precautions to keep yourself safe with that if you live in a low-lying area. But it looks like the hail sizes have come down. We're looking at maybe ½ inch or smaller on the hail sizes. Maybe ½ inch back there west of Fairview, but it looks like the hail sizes have come down and kind of scattered out now. So that's a good sign. Maybe it's not going to be as much of a hail threat, and right now it doesn't look like it's that big of a wind threat, but we're looking at about 40 miles an hour reading on the OHX radar, the Weather Service radar. And if we go over to, let's take a look at TBNA and just look at velocities there. And not see anything too concerning. I mean, we're looking at 40 and maybe 40 mile per hour wind gusts there. So that's good. That's a good thing. That's a good thing. So hopefully that will not increase with time. Let's go back to the Weather Service radar here. All right, Brentwood, you guys are getting a lot of rain. You all know the areas that flood in Brentwood. Wouldn't drive near those right now. So you got areas like the Brentwood Y and some other places around town that just are prone to the high water. Don't go drive through that for sure. So especially some of these roads like Sunset Road and some of these places where you got creeks that run all different places throughout the road. Those are the roads that could have issues tonight. Is those roads that have creeks that run under them and that kind of thing, and it sneaks up on you when you're driving down the road. All right, let's go back to TBNA. Let's just take a look at velocities here. Really, I'm not seeing anything strong as far as straight line winds. So we saw it a little bit ago around Beechwood Plantation, but I'm not seeing anything in the blue category that would indicate winds up in the 58 to 60, 65 mile per hour range. So that's good. Let me look in your reports here for just a second. Yeah, really not seeing many reports here. So that's a good sign. I mean, no news is good news, right? Looks like we got something else coming out. Let's see what that is. Looks like they're continuing the severe thunderstorm warning, just shoring it up a little bit. So they've shortened the warning here, brought it up into Williamson County a little bit more. And Looks like back to our west, they're issuing another tornado warning back in West Tennessee. So we'll keep an eye on that. But that's not for us. All right, so severe thunderstorm warning continues for Williamson County. Leapers Fork is now in the clear from the strongest part of the storm. Still pouring down rain out there. You're not clear from the flash flooding. You're still under flash flood warning there. All these green polygons all over the place. All these green polygons are all flash flood warnings. So flash flood warnings in effect all over the place, and we're pretty much all in one. So rain, definitely a big threat here. And it looks like still not seeing anything as far as velocities that are up in the blue or the green or, bright green. So that's a good sign. And let's go over here to TBNA and just kind of double check. So we're kind of looking at hail sizes, and this warning was put out in effect for hail sizes and for straight line winds. And so we're kind of bouncing back and forth between the two. And yeah, we're just not seeing anything as far as bright green or bright blue. So really not much there. So let's go back to the Weather Service radar here. All right, so heavy rain now approaching Brentwood and Cool Springs. I tell you what, let's see if we can pull up some traffic cameras, huh? So severe thunderstorm warning remains in effect while I'm kind of looking around here. Severe thunderstorm warning remains in effect until 11 o'clock. It's about another 10 minutes. Or 15 minutes, I guess I should say. Here we go. This is a familiar intersection. This is Franklin Road and Maryland Way. And familiar intersection there in Brentwood, right in the middle of town. So Church Street, Maryland Way, Franklin Road. And coming down really hard there right now. And that's the LBMC building there just beyond that. These power lines are not down. It's just the camera is right there. It's mounted right next to the telephone cables there on the pole. So they're not down or laying down or anything. But just a lot of water. Look at all that water coming down. So very, very, very wet storms for sure. Got a lot of water up in them. Looking at a couple of other cameras here just to see if there's anything that we need to check out. All right, let's go. I'll tell you what, let's go back to radar here. Yeah, this is an intersection that very busy during the day. Very busy during the day and getting a lot of rain tonight. All right, back to radar here, and this is, let's check out velocities again. And again, not seeing any bright blues or bright greens. We're just not seeing that yet. So it was back a little bit further to the west in southwestern Williamson County, but just not seeing too much of what in the way of that right now, and that's a good sign. All right, so looks like wind speeds have come down just a tad. Looks like not seeing anything too bright. So maybe we're getting in better shape here, but the warning's in effect until, let's see, 11 o'clock. So about another 12 minutes or so. And mostly just a rain thing, y'all. I'm telling you, this is, there's a lot of rain involved with this. And so moving east out of Franklin, it's going to be in Nolensville before too long. Antioch's already getting the strong rain. And then McKay's Mills kind of right on the edge of it. And the Nissan headquarters, Thoroughbred Theater, all the way up through Cool Springs. Brentmead, Lansdowne, all the way up into Cane Ridge and Antioch. Some very heavy rain. Now, y'all look. Let me just kind of put this in. Motion for you. I mean, that's going to be a lot of water for a while, guys. I mean, look at this. You see this here in Brentwood, and then it's just lined up back down into northeastern Hickman County, and those reds and yellows are just going to train right up through western Williamson County and into Davidson County. All right, through like Forest Hills, Oak Hill, Bellevue, Nashville, downtown Nashville, and down to the south a little bit. So, I mean, really concerned about the flash flood threat with this. So, flash flood warnings in effect for several hours here. And then we have these storms back to the west we got to worry about. And the Weather Service back in Memphis has issued tornado warning there in Chester County and Madison, Henderson, and Decatur counties back to our west. So we're going to have to keep an eye on those as well as they come in. So this isn't the only rain we got to deal with tonight. And we've said that multiple times because it just kind of keeps coming. All right, severe thunderstorm warning still in effect, and that's they're letting that ride. They're letting it go and keep going, and that's until 11 o'clock. And let's go back over and watch Brentwood, and I'm kind of watching for the winds, and they are getting some wind. It doesn't look severe, but it does look like there's some gusty winds in there. So if we go and look at a radar, I'm looking at a radar off site or off on another screen here. You know, I'm kind of comparing what I'm seeing on radar with what I'm seeing on the camera. So, like, I'm going to go down and see if I can find a camera there around Crockett Park. And it doesn't look like some of those are available. So, here's this is Green Hill Boulevard there, Concord Road and Green Hill Boulevard. So this is right there near the Liberty Downs subdivision and what is that, Chenoweth across the street there. So you've got a lot of lightning and definitely a lot of rain heading that way. It's not quite to there yet, but it'll be there here in just a little bit. So back to Franklin Road and Maryland Way, and that's pretty gusty. That's not bad. That's probably, I'd say, I'm looking at radar here, and radar's estimating gusts in the 40 range, and I'd say that's about right. That's about right. What we're seeing on the camera is it's probably about a 40-mile-an-hour wind there. Maybe 35, 40. So that looks about right. So I would say pretty much everybody from Brentwood crossing I-65 over into the eastern neighborhoods of Brentwood, you could expect some 35, 40, maybe 45-mile-an-hour gusts, according to what we see on radar here. And that would be about right. So I'm going to go check out radar off screen here. Yeah, really coming down now. And still looks to be about 45, but it sure is blowing. A lot of spray involved in that rain. It's blowing it around. So I'll show you where that is. I'll show you over here on TBNA. So this is exactly where that is. So we're looking in the middle of Brentwood here. Looks like some strong 47, maybe 50 mile per hour winds coming through there right now. So this is live traffic camera from Franklin Road and Maryland Way, looking south. That's very familiar. This is the Church Street intersection in the middle of Brentwood, and really blowing there now. I would say that's probably a 40, 45 mile an hour wind, and that lines up with radar. Radar showing at about 45 miles per hour, and that looks every bit of it there in the middle of Brentwood. So a lot of water, a lot of wind for the next few minutes. New flood advisory coming out for Davidson County. That's for the Stones River near Donaldson, and that's near that greenway up there. In fact, actually, here, I'll show you on TBNA. Where I'll tell you about TBNA. TBNA is actually brightening up a little bit right around this intersection, and it looks to me like kind of around Wilson Pike Circle and right there where the kind of where the railroad crossing is there in Brentwood. So it looks like there could be winds gusting in the 55, 60 mile per hour range now. And looking at the video, I believe it. And that's kind of just south of where this video is. So, but that's, it just keeps on coming, doesn't it? That's at Franklin Road, Maryland Way, and Church Street there in the middle of Brentwood. That's looking south. That's the LBMC building right behind it. And it looks like the wind's even picking up, maybe even a little stronger now. Right there in the middle of town. So this is there's right in the middle of Brentwood. That's Franklin Road. You're looking south on Franklin Road, and if you look to the right there on the right side of your picture, that's Maryland Way that goes over towards City Hall, and then kind of to the left of the image, that's Church Street that goes out there. And I'll show you exactly what's going on. This is a bright spot in the radar here. So radar thinks winds are gusting 61 miles per hour there, and that's going to be coming down Old Smyrna Road. And boy, some awfully big trees out there. Hope those don't get damaged. But a real localized area of some gusty winds coming through Brentwood right now, and that looks to go out Old Smyrna Road, Mayfield, Annandale, some of those areas out there. Subdivisions out there could get some really strong gusty winds. So it looks like they are letting the severe thunderstorm warning expire. Yeah, the warning is gone for Williamson County. So there is no warnings in effect for Williamson County right now. However, we are watching this video that has pretty strong gusty winds there in the middle of Brentwood, but they appear to be non-severe, but they were awfully gusty there for a little bit. And we'll watch those go off to the east here for a little bit. But so it looks like it's starting to calm down. It's calming down a little bit now. But that was pretty gusty. So we'll be watching these, and let me zoom out here on my radar, and it looks like we don't have any more warnings in effect for right now that are severe thunderstorm or tornado variety. So still plenty of flash flood warnings in effect. Still plenty of flash flood warnings in effect, and we got that tornado warning down in West Tennessee. We're going to keep an eye on that, but not too worried about it at this point. But we'll be watching it. All right, so I'll tell you what we're going to do. We're going to jump off of here, and we will be back on if we need to be. David's over on Twitter. Will's taking your reports. Be sure to send those to us if you have anything that is worth reporting, any hail, wind damage, especially there through Brentwood. I'm especially interested there, what happened there in Brentwood and just to the south of downtown Brentwood. Could be there's a lot of trees in that area in those older neighborhoods, and we could have, could be a little bit of tree damage there. But if you see any wind damage of any kind, let us know. Use hashtag T-Spotter in a tweet, and Will's going to get that over to the Weather Service and let them know about that. But that was some strong wind that just came through downtown Brentwood just moments ago. So we'll see if that turns into anything over the next few minutes as far as reports go. All right, you guys have a great night. Stay in touch. And don't let this flash flooding sneak up on you. Stay in touch, stay connected, and have a good night.